Alright, so thank you for watching my very first video on YouTube. And it's definitely not the first video I ever thought I'd ever put on here. But I started uploading or posting something on X. And I thought this would be a good blog or something. And I don't even have a blog. And I'm like, okay, well, I've had a YouTube and I've wanted to talk about psychedelics and how they saved my life. But not only saved my life, but has the potential to save others with misdiagnosed mental illnesses and all of the above. Because I am just kind of like your average person who went through some shitty things like everybody else. However, I figured out how to like be alive again without needing any depressants or anything, and it was on accident. But I don't think it was really an accident. I think that it was meant to be. But I'm just gonna go ahead and start. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about how I was misdiagnosed with bipolar when I was 13 years old. I'm 34 now, so that can give you a little bit of an age gap there. When I was 13, my parents took me to a psychiatrist, and they said that they did it because I was showing like alarming, interest and some things that my friend was doing that was also very alarming. But it wasn't that I was acting on it; it was just that I was curious about it. Also being that I was different. I had an older sister, and I believe that me and her are complete polar opposites, and they weren't used to that. And I'm not blaming my parents, because that's what do you do when you're new parents and you have one daughter who is this black, and the one daughter that's white. It's crazy. So they were worried about me because I just had a different personality. I was kind of moody and irritable and cranky, and lashed out a lot with anger, and so I kind of wrote it in dark poetry, and somebody found it in my family and told my parents about it. And anyways, that's how I ended up there. I also will let's keep in mind we're 13-year-old girls going through puberty. Shit happens. But they took me in, and at first I want to say it was sertraline, but I don't think that's a common medication to prescribe someone with ADHD. But they gave me this medication called sertraline first, and I think that's what it was. And within a day or two, if not less, actually I think it was like the night I took it, everything was becoming super enhanced. My I could hear a pin drop. My irritability was like through the roof. I told my mom the next morning, because I tried it again. I was like, Mom, I can't take this medication. I can't stand it. Like everything, my anxiety was really, really high. I could hear sounds that you shouldn't hear. So they took me back, and she said, all right, we're gonna have to put you on Risperdal. And I think my mom had, quote, said that the doctor told them that this is just something that she's gonna have to live with for the rest of her life. But whatever. So I took Risperdal for I was 13, so I was still in middle school, and then pretty much all throughout high school. I can't remember if I got off of it before I graduated or after, but I do know that my parents did say they saw a big difference in my attitude, and I didn't really notice. I was like, oh, cool. And they're like, do you notice anything different? And I was like, not really, but they did. And so I guess I wasn't paying attention much. I don't know. But they saw a difference. I didn't really see a different me or feel a different me. I did notice after getting into high school, though, that I was starting to get extremely tired before school, during school. First period, I would be knocked out. And then it started turning into me skipping class and going and sleeping in my friend's car. And I would sleep for 3 periods. And this would happen every day for a very long time. So I'm not sure when I got off of it, like I said. But I got off of that between 17 and 18 years old. And then I was off of that until after I got pregnant. Well, after I had my baby at 23. And I had no bipolar episodes at all like that before. In fact, I never really had any bipolar episodes before that. Like before I was 13. Nothing manic, nothing, no highs and no lows like that, really. But anyways, I went to another psychiatrist, and the first thing I told her was, I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 13, and because I was trying to get some kind of anti-anxiety medication and maybe an antidepressant, because I was dealing with what I have now know and was in denial of for a long time, like postpartum depression. And she wouldn't give me any anti-anxiety medication, and she didn't even give me antidepressant, even though I told her what was going on. She prescribed me lamictal, motrigine, also known as, and she didn't do any background. She didn't look at my medical history. She didn't even do a new medical assessment on me to diagnose me or re-diagnose me. So she just took my word for it. It was bizarre. I ended up going to a third psychiatrist in less than a year because I was desperately needing an antidepressant and some kind of anti-anxiety medication because I was a new mom and I was really struggling. And she basically also just took my word for it. I told her that I was on, I think I told her that I was already on lamictal, because I filled it out in my paperwork. And so she read it over with me, and so she said she would, I explained to her my other issues, and so she put me on clonazepam and Prozac. And the Prozac, I feel like, felt like a placebo. I didn't really feel, I don't even know if I was really depressed at the time. I was a new mom, but, I did have some feelings of regret, and, I was a little depressed, yeah. I'm still in denial. But and clonazepam, the lamictal again, and then, Prozac. And like I said, the Prozac didn't really do anything for me, that I noticed. I didn't know a decrease or an increase. The lamictal, over time, that's when I was starting to act like someone, out of character for me. And, never behaved like that before. And this went on for several years, including self-harm, my substance abuse and I don't blame this on the lamictal, but I do feel like someone else might be responsible for that, ignoring me and not exactly, taking me very seriously. I felt like me telling you that I was diagnosed bipolar doesn't mean you just experiment on this new drug with me. And that's what she told me. It was just safe, it's new, and this and that. Let's cure your bipolar. And I'm like, I don't know. I was young, and doctors scare me. They always have. So I didn't say much. So anyway, I started to get, my substance abuse started getting worse, and my acting, it was like I was not growing up as a mother. And then I had another baby, and I wanted to, I was stuck in an 18-year-old or 16 to 18-year-old girl, but I was not that age anymore. I needed to be a better parent. I needed to be happy, and all these pills I was taking was not making me happy. Illegal drugs and legal. And then I turned to alcohol. There's a lot of reason behind that. I had a very, 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 very traumatizing experience, or traumatizing relationship with my husband's mother-in-law, but my husband's stepmom, but she doesn't really exist in his life. She is a horrible person, and she put me through a lot of hell. And there was one point in time where it was so hard for me that I started drinking. And so did my husband. In fact, we just kind of did it together, and we were pretty much functional alcoholics for 2 years. I went to detox once and relapsed. And then when we moved to Orlando, that's where we agreed to stop drinking. And it did happen. I was then prescribed Vyvanse, and I was taken off the clonazepam because they wanted me to wean off of that. Or I think I was like down to like 15 a month instead of 30 or whatever. And that actually really helped me for a long time. But after COVID, our world was wrecked. It was wrecked. And by this time, by the way, I don't think I was not taking my lamictal anymore. I think I stopped taking it about a year or two before. I don't know. I was off and on the whole time I was there. It kind of becomes a blur. I really don't really know actually when I stopped. But I believe it was, when I moved. And then after we were leaving Orlando, and when the ball dropped, I believe it was 2022 that we left. Yeah. I decided that we had 2 tabs of the Pokemon blotter paper tab, LSD blotters. Blech. And he had asked me a few times that year, like, if we wanted to take it, and I don't know, it was weird because I'm like a party girl, like I was. I don't know why I didn't want to. I just said I wasn't ready. I don't know why, but because before I was always ready. Sorry. But once that ball dropped, it was just like huge relief and like euphoric, like happiness, like just rushed through my veins. And I looked at him and I was like, "Do you still have those tabs?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm ready." Or I said, "I'm ready." And he looked at me a little taken back. And then he's like, "Okay." So, the afterglow of that LSD trip it was addicting. I couldn't let it out of my life, and neither could he. But this is not about him, right? Whew, back pain, chronic. This isn't about him right now. This is just about my story. Because I want to let people know about why you shouldn't. We'll get there. Pause. The afterglow was amazing. Not only did my anxiety go, I didn't realize that I was not dealing with any anxiety out in public until I realized it. I was being myself, and it's so simple to say, "Oh, just be yourself," but you don't really realize you're not being yourself ever. And until you have almost no filter, but a filter, you still know, what to say and what's okay to say around certain, but you're your self. You don't care about what people think, or you don't think that people are all staring at you and getting paranoid and all of these things, because you're not thinking about that. You're just living in the moment. And I know that's such a cliche word to say, or sentence to say, but you really are. You're in the moment, and you're just with you, yourself, and I. And it's really amazing to see it work so quickly. And then you're happy. I don't know. It's wild. It's like that. And then you don't have this withdrawal or effect or anything. Nothing like that. Everything just looks brighter and beautiful, and life feels brighter and beautiful and way more relaxed. But we moved out. We went to Ocala, and there was a lot of problems because, like I said, it took us a lot of time to build our life back up. But we were trying to microdose LSD still because it was really helpful when we could, but we didn't really have much money. We were working, but Anyway, I decided to go ahead and try my mushrooms because I thought maybe there's something wrong with me because my back was hurting a lot during every time. But honestly, I had a lot to work on, and we will talk about that. Just not today. Because mushrooms was it was just calling for me. I suddenly just thought about it. My husband says to this day, he's like, I have you to thank for mushrooms. Because you're the one who kept bringing them up. And I'm like, yeah, because I wanted something organic to maybe see if maybe the LSD was just not reacting to me properly. And that is when I had, a bad trip.